Hey Naturals, what's up? It's Gabby Wallace from GoNaturalEnglish.com here to help you with your English fluency. And today I'm finally answering one of the most popular questions that I've ever gotten. This is a very frequent question that I get all the time, which is, how long does it take to become fluent in English? And most teachers will tell you it depends, which is a true answer. It does depend on a lot of things, but today we're going to go even deeper into that answer to understand why it depends and what it depends on so that you can make an informed decision and know what you're getting into on the road to English fluency. So, if you're interested in that, then keep watching. Just before we jump into the answer to this question, if you are ready to work on your English fluency, I highly recommend that you get the English Fluency Formula audio ebook that I wrote for you, putting together all of our best tips here at Go Natural English in one easy to download audio ebook. You can click right up there to get it or go to GoNaturalEnglish.com/ebook. Awesome. So, it depends. This is probably the most frustrating answer ever. Am I right? No one likes to hear it depends. It leaves you waiting, wanting to know more, like, well, it depends on what? Just tell me. So first of all, okay, I'm going to talk about 3 points today. We're going to talk about what this question really means. We're going to talk about how long it takes to become fluent in English and how to actually use that time better so that you can learn faster. Because I was reading online about the maximum number of languages, like the world record of languages that one person can speak fluently, and I learned that this guy, Ziad Faza from Lebanon, apparently speaks 59 languages fluently. Yeah, 59 languages. And I'm like, where did he get the time to learn all those languages? Because supposedly, now this is a spoiler, but supposedly it takes 1,200 hours to learn a language fluently. So I want to know how Ziad has all this time to learn 59 languages. We're going to talk about that. Okay, but going back to the first point, what this question really means. Because I think when you ask this question, you're not really asking how much time it takes to learn a language fluently. What you're really asking is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is the time I put into learning the language actually worth what I'm going to get out of it? Or maybe you're really just asking because you want to know how much time it's going to take and you want to know if you have time. But this could change your thinking if you actually understand how to use your time better and you become fluent in English faster using the tips that we're going to talk about today. So, if you want to think about, is English worth it to learn? Well, let's think about it. English is a global language that you can use when you travel, when you're researching or learning about new things, when you meet people from other countries. It's a language that you can use in your career. In most people's jobs, it's going to help you to know English or to get a new and better job. And 3, learning English is just really good for your brain. It's like a workout for your brain. It keeps your brain young and beautiful. Look at your beautiful brain. Yes, your brain speaks English. Okay, so also becoming fluent in English is a process. So it's not like something that just happens overnight. It's not like, getting a Christmas present where it's like, ooh, now I have it, where before I didn't have it. It's not like that. I think a lot of us are trained to think of English fluency as something we get when we pass a test. And passing that test has a specific date. After I pass the test, woo, I'm fluent in English. But it's actually not that simple. It's actually better in a way because it's an ongoing process. And each day that you study is like putting money into a savings account, into your bank account, so that when you need to use English, you can take that savings or that English study time out and use it. Okay, and you might get to a point where you feel like, well, I used all of my English savings and you need to study more or you need to save more English in your bank account. I think you get the comparison I'm making, right? That's when you need to keep pushing yourself to become more fluent in English, when you notice there's some discrepancy between the amount of English that you want to use and the amount that you have in your English savings account. Okay, very good. So now let's talk about this number, 1,200 hours. I told you I let the cat out of the bag, how many hours it takes to become fluent in English. This number comes from research online from the Common European framework for learning languages, which has 6 levels from beginner A1 to mastery or fluency C2, and each of these 6 levels supposedly takes 200 hours of study to complete. So this is an average, guys. This doesn't mean that for you it's going to take 1,200 hours. It might take more, it might take less, and this depends on a few things. I'm going to talk about 3 main points that this number depends on, okay? First, are you familiar with how to learn a language? Have you ever learned another language? Do you speak another language? Have you studied another language? Have you taught another language? I know for myself that with each language that I study, and also the more that I teach language, I've taught English now for over 17 years, oh my gosh. So with each language that I learn and teach, it becomes easier and easier because I understand how to do it. So it's kind of like cooking. I think when you learn your first recipe ever and you're like, oh my gosh, I can make spaghetti, this was so hard, but I did it, you know, it becomes easier. Each meal becomes easier and you can get creative and make your own recipes. Anyway, I always end up talking about food because I'm always hungry, but back to how long it takes to become fluent in English. So it depends on, first of all, if you know how to learn a language. So what I try to help you guys out with is understanding how to learn the language. I'm not the kind of teacher who only teaches you grammar rules or vocabulary or direct information. I do that too, but I also love to teach you about how to learn the language because that's going to help you speed up and minimize the number of hours that it takes to learn English fluently. So, and also help you learn any language, right? Second, let's talk about how you use these hours. There's a huge difference between a focused hour of study where you're just immersed in learning English and an hour of study where you're not really sure what you're doing or what you should be looking at or what materials to use, or maybe you're looking at some good English materials, but you're also looking at your cell phone, your text messages, your Facebook, your WhatsApp, Instagram, blah, 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 blah. If you're not focused, those hours are not counting. So you can't just open an English textbook and like go eat a hamburger and watch an hour pass and you're like, oh, well, that's an hour of studying English because my book was open, but you weren't really actually applying yourself or focusing. So your focus, your attention is super important and it's a challenge. I'll admit it, you know, it's a challenge to stay focused. And in the last several years, the average person's attention span has decreased significantly because we're so used to fast-paced media on social media, on YouTube. It's true. Everything is getting faster. So we have to work harder to really focus and apply ourselves to learning new skills. Just know that you have to make that decision to focus and do the work in order to reap the benefits of English fluency. And number 3, those 1,200 hours are gonna go by a lot faster if you get help and feedback. So if you get help to know what you should be studying, in what order, and a guide, and actually get the right materials, that will help you because you won't be spending that time looking for materials or trying to plan your own study plan or your own syllabus. If you can get help with that by taking a class, maybe the Go Natural English course, that will help you a lot. And feedback is super important because you don't always know what you don't know. You just don't know what you don't know, right? So if you're learning English and you keep making the same mistake or you have the same doubts each time you make a certain sentence, you're not progressing. You're not getting feedback, you're not getting corrections, and you're not improving. So it's totally okay to make a mistake, but you don't want to make the same mistake over and over and over just because you didn't know that you were doing it. So get help and get feedback. It's going to really speed up your learning process a lot. Also, the good thing is, if you're watching this video, you are not a complete beginner. If you're watching this and understanding most of what I'm saying, you're not a complete beginner. You're already at the intermediate level in English. So that means that cuts the hours that you need for fluent speaking in English to probably about half, about 600 hours. Now, if you are super focused and you have lots of free time, you can probably reach fluency in English in about 6 months if you're studying about 5 hours a day. So we're doing some rough math here. But if you're a normal person who has a job and has family they'd like to see and friends they'd like to see and other hobbies and taking care of yourself and etc., doing other things in life besides just studying English full time, it will probably take you a little longer, maybe a year, if you're studying a couple hours a day. So the reality is it takes time. But one thing that we do at Go Natural English is try to make English a part of your daily life, because we need focused study time, but we also need time where we're using English on a day-to-day basis, where we're making it part of your life. Because even if you study 5 hours a day, you need time to process English, to live with English, to make it a habit, to feel comfortable with using English as part of your life. I don't know if you've ever studied really hard for a test, then you take the test and you pass, and then you forget everything because you just crammed so hard and you didn't actually internalize what you learned. That's what can happen if you try to cram English into a very short time. So we try to develop good habits to make English a part of your life. That's part of the Go Natural English method, is that you're not only learning English, you're learning to make it a part of your life. So learning English in small bursts throughout the day, in 5 to 15 minute bursts, it's really good for people who are busy and also who need to stay engaged with English. If you lose your attention easily, learning in small bursts will be best for you. So tell me in the comments, how much time each day do you focus on English? How do you know how long it's going to take you to become fluent in English? Well, first, you have to know what level you want to be in English. So where do you want to be? Ask yourself that question first. What is fluency to you? And second, why do you want to become fluent in English? So you have to know the reason why in order to stay motivated, because it takes time and there are times when it will be challenging and you might feel like giving up, but knowing your reason why will help you to keep going. So you know where you want to be. Now you need to know where you are today and then measure the space between where you want to be and where you are today. And how many hours of study will that take? So with the Common European Framework, it takes 200 hours to get from one level to another. So if you want to advance your English to the next level, think 200 hours as an average amount of time that it will take to improve your fluency. So then think about how many hours per day, or if it's less than an hour per day, think about how many hours per week are you able to study. Then divide the number 200 by the number of hours you can study per week, and there you will have the number of weeks, or the amount of time that it will take you to reach the next level in English. So do the math to plan backwards from your goal. And here's the thing. Those people who focus on the amount of time that it takes are usually not going to be as successful, because you're not focusing on enjoying the journey. You're just focusing on the goal. The thing about English is that it is a journey, and we have to use English as we go. It's not just a matter of passing a test or waiting for 200 hours to pass. It's an active process of achieving fluency as you go. So the most important part of becoming fluent in English is not counting how many hours it will take or asking how much time will it take to become fluent. The most important time is devising a good strategy, understanding techniques in order to become fluent in English and making English a habit and an everyday part of your life so that you're living English and not just counting the hours that you are studying. Okay, I hope that this was helpful for you. If you enjoyed this, then please make sure that you are subscribed to make sure you're part of the Go Natural English group of subscribers here on YouTube. And if you want to learn more of our strategies, techniques, and ideas for practicing English to get fluent faster, get the English Fluency Formula ebook. Click right up there. Go to gonaturalenglish.com/ebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another lesson soon. Mwah! Bye for now.